On this episode of the Procedurally Generated Show, Tony streams a lot of games and Ethan burns more sheep. We talk about the week's biggest news and answer your questions. Howdy, everybody. Welcome to the Procedurally Generated Show. I'm your host, Tony, and joining me this week, I've got Ethan.
Hey, Tony.
What's going on, sir?
Same as always.
We're here. It's Saturday night. It's the week before Halloween. We're recording a podcast.
Yes, it is the week before Halloween. We have one more spooky game for you to play.
You said spoopy.
Yeah, my mouth was a little dry.
Yeah, today you played a Five Nights at Freddy's game, which was
played is such a not the right word for that one.
You stumbled through until there was a jump scare, and then we were like, "Nope, we're done. See you."
So I couldn't even be jump scared. I was too scared. I was like, all right.
I knew it was coming.
No, I could hear it in the vents. It's just I couldn't tell from where.
Yeah, well, that's the point of a jump scare. You never know where or when it's going to happen.
It's one of those where I have to learn all the mechanics just to understand how to survive in that, and it was a little too late for it at that point.
Yeah, because it's a little different than what the normal Five Nights at Freddy's games are, the way I understand that they're played. Yes. I've never played one, so I don't know a ton about them, but
basically the difference between this one and, well, it was a Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria Simulator. 6th entry in the series?
I believe so, yes.
And unlike the previous ones where you can monitor them on camera, you just have a motion detector or audio lure. So yeah, I only had one animatronic in the vents due to reasons, but he managed to get me.
He found you. He jumped out at you. Next week we will end our month of scary games with one I am not looking forward to. Just gonna go right out there and say it. You've taken control the last couple of weeks. Next week, it's my week, and I am going to play Resident Evil 7.
It's gonna be a thing.
I already know there's gonna be a lot of I'm gonna take a couple steps, then I'm just gonna stand there and be like, I don't want to do this, because I hate scary games probably more than anybody. Yeah. So it should be interesting. I'm looking forward to it, but at the same time, I know I'm not looking forward to it. So if you've ever wanted to see me play a scary game, next week will be your chance to do that. So should be fun. Hopefully, with you along with me for the ride, it won't be quite as scary.
Well, I've seen it played enough times. It's not going to be jump scary for me.
Yeah. So I have seen like 3 minutes of total footage of Resident Evil 7. So yeah, okay. It's going to be fun. But we're not here for Resident Evil 7 right now. We are here to talk about the stuff that we have been playing. You finished Spyro. Had you finished Spyro 2 last week, or you had just finished the first one?
I just got the platinum on the first one.
Yeah. So that's what you did last week. You've been playing more Spyro. What have you done this week?
I got the platinum in Spyro 2.
Nice.
According to the game, I have a 100% done on there, but I still have the skill points to do for the art book in the game for that one. It's easy enough to do, but I don't feel like doing it, if that makes any sense to you.
You've got the platinum trophy. There's no reason.
Yeah. It says I have 100% save, so who cares?
So, was this one easier or harder to get than the first game?
I think the first game was easier just in terms of you didn't have as many mechanics that were limiting you on, well, traversing your environments,
Mm-hmm.
and most things were not really hidden that well to begin with. So this one, you actually had like some walls here and there that would be a little different if you weren't looking at it, you wouldn't notice. So you would have to either look really hard to see these differences, or just get kind of lucky if you happen to run into them.
Yeah.
So that way you could like crash through them, or I think there's like one illusionary wall you can walk through. But for the most part, they had other mechanics like being able to climb ladders, and a ground pound mechanic that you pay for later.
Mm-hmm.
So just things like that just kind of limit what you can do in some later parts of the game for the 100%. So you once you get those, and it's like travel back to these other areas and see what else you can find.
Okay.
But once you beat the game and then go back to the dragon world, you can actually go through this circus area, and if you get all the tickets, you unlock the super flame permanently in the game.
Okay.
So part of the platinum trophy stuff, I think, involved beating the bosses with like perfects or something, like not taking damage.
Mm-hmm.
So I just ran in there and super fireballed a couple of them to death because I didn't have to build up towards a super attack anymore. So I was like, all right, cool, fireball, bang, 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 just hammer them down, call it good.
Okay. So, yeah.
So I've since moved on to Spyro 3,
How far have you gotten into that so far?
11%.
Oh,
Completed the More or less completed the whole first world on there.
yeah, you're still pretty early in the game.
Yeah, and looks like it's going to be just as short as the other two because they're not terribly big games since they were PlayStation One collectathons.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas
Oh, yeah.
versus a Nintendo 64 collectathon, jeez, man, oh man, but the one of the things that I'm noticing in this one is you have different characters you play as now. Like there's some kangaroo lady I had to play as,
Mm-hmm.
some bird with uh, rocket launchers on his back, and apparently I think I get to play as Sparks, the dragonfly, at some point too.
Really?
Yeah, it seems a little weird. So I'm not sure how all that's gonna work, but yeah, as soon as I get to that part, I guess I'll know.
Yeah, I like it when some of those games give you the chance to play as someone else and mix up the mechanics a little bit. That's one of the things I've really liked with Crash 4 was the way some of those characters just they give you a chance to go through some levels again, but do it in a different way.
Hmm.
So it's a really neat way to kind of explore the same sort of territory that you've been exploring, but do it in a way that you're not used to when you're playing the game.
Yeah, yeah, and I think the other version of that I've always liked in video games is when you go on to a sequel and you get to come back to an area from the first game, even though there's like a number of, let's say, years difference between
Hmm.
the then and now, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
So I'm always a fan of. It's like, all right, what has changed? What can I expect, or is it going to be identical and it's just for nostalgia's sake at that point?
Yeah. Yeah, you're
Which
going
that
through, you're like,
it,
I remember this, I remember this. This is not quite the same.
yeah, yeah. So it's like with like Metal Gear Solid 4 going back to Shadow Moses Island, and it's like, oh man, this is where I rode the elevator up. Here's where the thing happened, the security camera. Everything's like aged and falling apart, and you got little robots rolling around. But still, that's pretty rad. But at the same time, they let you really relive that in like a little in an actual PS1 style thing before that, just having fun in the game because why
Hmm.
not? So I guess in that case, you got the best of both worlds.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's at the end of the day, this is just more Spyro, and I started with all the stuff I've already learned from the previous game, so that's great.
Yeah, so it's one of those you're doing all these back to back, so it probably won't take you very long to get through this one. Whereas if you had, played these originally and a year or 2 years apart, however they were, you'd
Yeah,
have to
I
sort
apparently
of
I
refamiliarize yourself with everything.
apparently got the game like for Christmas last year, and then played it, and then like a whole year went by before I picked it back up. So,
Yeah.
oops.
Are you going to go back and play the Crash collection after you do this one?
I need to get the Crash Collection first,
Oh, well, yeah, I
and that
guess.
that is in the planning process.
Okay.
It's a whole different type of collectathon, I guess, on that one. More of a, I guess, a survivathon.
Yeah. Yeah, because you're going to die a lot. So be prepared for some frustrating moments when you start playing Crash Bandicoot.
Okay, I will keep that in mind.
So
What have you been playing, Tony?
I I've been streaming a bunch of stuff.
Neat.
Like not streaming to Twitch. I mean I have done some of that. I played the Immortals Phoenix Rising demo that came out this week. Um, it was a while back that it was announced that a demo would be coming, and it would be coming to Stadia, and that was this week that it happened. Beginning on the 22nd, you could download, not download, you don't down, I gotta, you don't download games on Stadia.
You could stream
You could play the game on Stadia, and
through
it's going to be
through Stadia.
it's going to be available for a week. So through the 29th, you can log into Stadia and play through the demo of that. You do not have to have a Stadia Pro subscription. Anybody with a Google account, if they want to check it out, number one, it gives you an idea to see what Stadia is all about and how it works for you. Number two, you get a chance to play the demo of this game, which was really really fun.
Okay.
Uh, it's developed by Ubisoft Quebec, I believe, which is the team that was responsible for Assassin's Creed Odyssey.
Okay. Yeah.
Uh, ta-
Uh, mm,
it takes place in ancient Greece. You play as Phoenix, who is the main character. Um, in the demo, what you're doing is you're playing through a story that's being told by Zeus. He and Prometheus are talking to each other, and Zeus is retelling this story, and you're playing through it as he's narrating it for you. Uh, and he's not a very reliable narrator.
oh.
Uh, there's a couple times Prometheus calls him out on something. And he's like, I don't care. I really just wanted to see the view. So I changed the location of this part of the game to this place that I think looks really pretty. Instead of it being in a cave, it's now in this, high, this place with lots of cliffs and water and all this, because I just wanted to see the view. So, or there's another moment where you walk up into a little arena and it looks like you're getting ready to do a mini boss fight, and he just changes the monster that you're fighting constantly. It starts out as like a griffin or something like that, and then it changes to a manticore or whatever. I've put a clip. I put a clip of
It
it
started out as a
on
deer.
Twitter. It started as a little deer, and you're walking up to the deer, and you say, "Oh, you're so cute," and Zeus just goes, "Pause! It was this," and it changes from the deer to this giant monster,
It's a
and you think you're gonna fight it.
minotaur, then like a Cerberus.
Yeah, and so he's just like that scene in Aladdin where he's trying to figure out what kind of transportation to give Aladdin, and he's just snapping his fingers, and the thing is constantly changing. It's sort of like that, and he ends up you fight a flock of chickens. Uh,
Because that's
and
hilarious.
yes, and so it's stuff like that. The two narrators of the story are just going back and forth at each other. There's a couple of other really funny jokes that they mention, um, but the game itself was really good. It's an action style game similar to what like the more recent Assassin's Creeds with Origin and Odyssey, that are more action than they are stealth based. Uh, the biggest problem that I had with the game, though, was that the controls are just atrocious. Um, they use the same sort of control scheme as the more recent Assassin's Creeds, where it puts the attack buttons on the right bumper and the right trigger. And I hate that. You should not play an action game with attacks on the triggers. Those should be like X and Y.
Yeah, face buttons.
The left button is your light attack, the top button is your heavy attack, and then other special attacks can be mapped to whatever buttons you want. I
Yeah.
hate having to use those triggers to do melee attacks. It just does not feel comfortable. It doesn't feel right. So, but it does give you the option to change the controls. But I went in, and as soon as I changed one thing, it just broke every other thing in the controls, and I could not get it set up properly. I've posted a run through of the whole demo to the YouTube channel, so you can check it out there if you're curious. But in the thing, I spend like 5 minutes just trying to get the controls to work, and it just doesn't. So I eventually just give up, set it back to the default, and I'm like, when a game comes out, I'll try to figure out a way to get a control scheme, or hopefully they've given you the option to have a typical action game control scheme by default, or maybe not by default, but as an option. But the game itself is really good. The action is fun. It's fast paced. There's lots of different things that you can string together for combos. It gives you a lot of control over fighting in the game. You have ranged attacks. You have light and heavy regular attacks. You also have these like sort of god powers that you're given to where, and one of them is like you get this giant sledgehammer basically, and you do huge attacks that give like area of effect type damage. There's another one where a bunch of spikes will come out of the bottom of the ground, and it shoots anybody that you're fighting around you up in the air, and you can then jump up and string together air combos.
Nice.
So it's really, really good. I was excited about the game already, but after playing the demo, I'm even more excited about getting a chance to actually play it because it was really, really fun.
Should be
the other
interesting
thing
when that full game is out then.
December 2nd, I believe.
Nice.
They even make sort of a mention of that towards the end of the demo, where Zeus is like, I could continue telling you the story, but I'm going to save that for a later date, maybe around the holidays, or around the holiday season. So they sort of give you a little nod to the release date in the actual story of the demo that you were playing through, which was a fun little nod.
Good.
The other thing that I've been doing, and like I said, I played that is only available on Stadia, so you have to play that demo right now through Stadia. It might come out some other place beforehand, but as of now, it's a Stadia exclusive demo. The other thing that I've been doing, and I think I want to share my screen with you so you can see this. My invite to the early access period of Amazon Luna came out this week. So I got access to Amazon Luna, and I thought I'd just open it up and give you a little tour of what you can basically see in Luna.
Oh, so I need to record this.
So if you can, I mean, I don't know if...
Yeah.
I'm just putting you on the spot with...
Yeah, go ahead and get the screen thing shared, and I will get that pulled up.
Let me go back there. Screen one. I'm just going to share the whole screen so you can see everything. So you can see my project.
Hold on. Okay, now we're ready.
You can see my xCloud background. I haven't changed that. I personally shaped the future of cloud gaming. That was me.
They sent me the same email, and I wasn't even part of it.
Really? So yeah, I've got Luna pulled up down here. I actually want to close it so you can see. When you first start up, you can see I've got a lot of stuff in my gaming folder here. So you click on Luna.
You need to put the Xbox streaming app in there too.
They love the color purple here with Luna.
Well, I mean, it's Amazon and Twitch.
And this control is the everything that they have been doing marketing wise has had control like front and center on their marketing. It's sort of their big this is you can play control on Luna.
Nice.
So this is your home screen that you show up when you first boot it up, and it gives you some just here's some games you might like to play. You'll see here, this is Luna Plus. You have to have Luna Plus to play anything on here. If you have other channels, like we know Ubisoft is getting one, those will probably show up here. So you have Luna Plus, and then you'll have a Ubisoft channel that would show up behind it. And then anything that's been newly added, games that a lot of people, are playing currently that are trending.
Interesting.
And then so any of the games that you've played recently will show up here. These are the ones that I sort of tested out. River City Girls was the first thing I played because I was like, I've never played that before. I want to try that out and see. First, I am going to finish that game because I really, really liked what I played of that. Grid, I tested out because I wanted to find out how racing games were going to work. With like xCloud, playing them, I've always found them to be a little bit unplayable because of there was just enough lag that it didn't feel comfortable. So Grid was a good opportunity to test out Luna, and it worked really well. I didn't notice much in the way of lag at all playing through Grid. Sonic Mania was the same thing. It's just a fast-paced platformer. I was hitting the button and Sonic was jumping almost immediately, so I couldn't tell any kind of noticeable lag there either. And then with Control, everybody's been playing Control, so I wanted to check it out. I've put probably about 3 hours into Control.
Do you have any control issues
this week? No, actually. It's a little. There are some weird sort of inconsistencies with what you can and can't use to control some games. Because some games have keyboard support, some games have controller support, and then some have both. And it's not always 100% clear what type of control scheme you can use.
Mm-hmm.
Like Sonic, you can't use the keyboard. You have to have a controller plugged in.
Oh.
Control can be either. But then there was something I played. I don't remember what it was, but it was like I had to use a mouse and keyboard. It wouldn't let me hook up a controller and play it.
Okay.
So then when you click on a game, it'll bring you in here. You can see, you just click on it. You can scroll through screenshots and videos of the game. And then it also shows you anybody that's streaming it on Twitch. So you can see at that moment who is playing the game.
Kind of wish it would tell us who the streamer is, but
Yeah, I think if you click on it, you have to click on it to find out. So.
Okay.
Oops.
Oh, no.
I did not mean to do that. Yeah, it would be nice if it just had like the name down in there, or if you hovered over it, if it would show you who it is. Because maybe you want to watch a particular person.
Yeah, that was kind of like one of my complaints with the Nintendo eShop, is they just had like thumbnails of games, and it's like some of those don't even have the name in there, and if they do, it's too small to read. So it's like, what am I looking at? Tell me what this game is.
Yeah, and then you can add any of the games that you want to your playlist, and it'll show up here. So if we click like that, it'll show up in a playlist, and it's just games that you're interested in checking out.
Okay.
If you click on the library, it shows anything that you have access to. So right now, I have access to the entire library of games that are available. There's 50 currently. I know they've talked about 100 that will be available, so I imagine in the next couple of weeks, you'll start to see more of those show up. Because like the Castlevania collection is part of the stuff that I saw that was supposed to be in the launch, and Castlevania is not here anywhere.
No, it's right there on the top right. It says Bloodstained.
Oh, well, yeah, there you go. So this is the full list of 50 games that are available right now. There's a pretty decent sort of mix of stuff you can play, like the Shantae games. Way Forward has a bunch of stuff in here. Um, this is the best
I'm
thing.
surprised Shantae Seven Sirens isn't in there.
Yeah, I thought that was a curious omission as well. Is that available on anything besides Apple Play and Switch right now?
Uh, Great question.
It may be because I think the first console that it was coming to was Switch, but I'm not entirely sure. Uh,
Let's
let's
see. It
see.
looks like it's on Steam and can be bought right now.
Okay.
I want to say it's on PS4 as well.
Okay. So you can see, and then you've got your settings. Right now, I don't have a controller hooked up to the computer. I want to get one of the Luna controllers. They're $40 right now, but I haven't picked up one of those.
Does this come with a cupcake?
No, nothing comes with a cupcake. The only cupcake I've gotten was a digital cupcake.
Ah,
So you can see.
they won't even take you to prom.
Nope. So you can see just some of the different stuff. You can actually, it has the ability to add other profiles. So like I could have one. In theory, my kids could have one, but try to add one of my kids, and it said there are no kids accounts. It recognized that the person that I was trying to add was from my Amazon family list.
Ooh.
Um, so I think it's right down here. I went and I tried to add one of my kids, and it's like, you can't do that right now. So like,
Yeah, this is what early access still, right?
yeah, it is. Both of my kids have profiles on Amazon because they have their own tablets, and I went to create it, and this is an existing Amazon child profile. You can't have a child profile at this time. So
They have too many violent games for you.
I can't add any of my children into the service yet. But I could go in and just create a dummy account for them. But then if I go to Amazon, it also adds them to my Amazon family. So I have this weird, just random account that would be lurking out there. You can link it to Twitch so that if there's Twitch specific
Nice.
stuff,
Or if you're
you know, because
streaming, they'll see that and be like, hey,
yeah,
look.
exactly. So yeah, I have been very impressed so far with the actual play of it. So I'll just like click on control and I'll start it up and you can see just kind of how it works. You get an ad when you first start up a game, but it's only on this splash screen. It goes away immediately afterwards.
Oh, good.
Um, I would imagine you'll start to see other things besides just like the Amazon controller, because that's all the ads are right now is just that Amazon controller. You can see it boots up pretty quickly.
I look forward to when they have ads for their VR device.
Is Amazon doing anything VR wise?
Not yet.
So I don't know if there's any kind of lag between you and me right now that.
Certain flashing images, your progress is saved automatically. Control.
Yeah. And
I'd say it's fairly instant.
if I had another device that I could play on right now, I think I've probably got a Fire Stick somewhere that I could maybe plug in. If I had one of the Luna controllers, I would be able to take and pause my game here, go over to like the Fire Stick and boot it up and instantly be in the exact same place that I was. So
Oh,
like
okay.
I'm gonna jump right now. And like I don't know if you can hear me clicking the keyboard, but it's like instantaneously that the
From
action's
the
happening.
sound
So
and seeing the action on there, I'm gonna say it's not instantaneously, but at the same time, I've played some like the other like not Alan Wake, but the Quantum Break.
Quantum Break.
Yeah, and yeah, it definitely has that slight delay on there, so that's just par for the course, I guess.
Well, and see, it's happening instantaneously on my screen. So,
Yeah,
like, as soon as
I'm saying it's like it's not really lag input as much as it's just uh, input.
yeah,
What's
delay coming from my computer to yours. So,
No, no, that's not what I mean, but whatever. Like,
so
like you push the button and it's like the time for your character to go through the whole jump animation. They were just floating there. How dare you?
yeah, sorry. They would eventually attack me. So,
Uh huh. Is that the
like I see
excuse you're
you.
using?
Like I had no idea what this game actually was, but I played it for like 2 hours and I got hooked. So this is a game I'm going to end up playing quite a bit, I think. Um, but I don't want to play too much. I just wanted to give you an idea of kind of what to expect if you play a game.
Yep.
So, but that's what I've been doing. And then every time you stop a game, they want to get your feedback on what it was like. So you can click. Uh, all it does is that like whenever I've done some of that stuff on Xbox, you click on that and then it gives you a list of things that it could be like. I rated this good because I liked the streaming aspect. I liked the instant start, stuff like that. Um, so, uh, nope, I want to stop sharing my screen.
Oh, okay. So
Um,
he has stopped sharing his screen.
so that is what I've been spending most of my time with this week. It is out. Luna is available on PC, Mac, iOS, iPad, Fire Stick. I think there's something else. The only thing it's not available on right now is, or like the only major thing is it's not available on Android devices at the moment. But they do say that is coming very soon. I imagine like I said, I think when we first announced this a couple weeks ago, that there's probably something with their deal with Apple to get this on iOS that they get some window of exclusivity,
Hmm.
whatever that may be. I don't know that that is the case. That's just what I think because I can't imagine that it wouldn't be available for Android already. Um, So, but I've been thoroughly impressed with the actual play of Luna. A couple weird things. You don't have a friends list yet, but like I said, this is still in early access.
Mm-hmm.
So there's some stuff that they've got some time to work out. You don't have a friends list, and there's no online multiplayer for any of the games.
Okay.
So you can play local. So you could hook up a couple controllers uh, to the same computer or whatever and play local, but you can't play online. And only about half of the games that I had seen being talked about being launch titles for Luna are available. So the library is a little thin right now, but I expect that to bulk up pretty quickly over the next few weeks. So, because I know Ubisoft is also saying that when Assassin's Creed Valhalla comes out, you'll be able to play that on launch day on Luna. So by the middle of November, I would imagine that the Ubisoft channel will be available for people to subscribe to. They haven't talked about pricing yet for that because that is one of those things that they have said is that different publishers will be able to add their own channels to Luna, but those are probably all going to be for an additional subscription fee.
Hmm. Okay.
So whether it's $5, $10, $15, we don't know yet. Uh, I would imagine that the Ubisoft channel will probably be $15 like the Uplay Plus subscription is.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
so that is what I have been doing this week is just streaming games all over the place. I played the Pac-Man demo that was on Stadia. That was fun. I don't know how much I'll play that though. Uh, that's the Pac-Man 64 person battle royale game. I don't know if you'd seen anything of that. Um,
What was it again?
it's called Pac-Man Mega Tunnel Battle, I believe is what it's called. It's a
Okay.
64 person battle royale.
Okay, see, I knew there was like a Pac-Man thing, but then you started talking Battle Royale. I was like, did I have a stroke or something? What happened here?
Yeah, that's what it is, and that is actually currently available as a demo as well. There were 3 games that were available on Stadia this week as free demos. It was Pac-Man Mega Tunnel Battle, Humankind, I think was the second one, and then Immortals: Phoenix Rising. So,
Neat.
but that has been it for me. So let's take a quick break. We'll come back and we'll talk about the news. 2 weeks ago, Ethan,
Mm-hmm.
we talked about Game Pass Ultimate and xCloud and Microsoft streaming. You remember that?
I recall getting overly detailed on an item that does not exist.
Yeah, we both just out of the blue started speculating. It was not planned, anything like that. We just thinking out loud, we talked about the idea of Microsoft releasing a low cost streaming option for people who uh, have Game Pass Ultimate, whether it's because they don't want an Xbox because they don't want to spend $300 or $500 to get an Xbox, but maybe they do want to play some games or whatever. Streaming sticks are everywhere. Amazon has them, Google has them, Google Chromecast. You can play Stadia on your TV. But one of the things we had speculated was Microsoft coming out with their own streaming stick specifically for Game Pass Ultimate to give people a low cost option to get into the Microsoft ecosystem. Well, Friday, I wake up, and I see the news that Phil Spencer is like, you know what? I could see us putting out a low cost streaming option for people who want to play games via xCloud. Let me find the exact quote. I think you're going to see lower priced hardware as part of our ecosystem when you think about streaming sticks and other things that somebody might want to just go plug into their TV and go play via xCloud. You could imagine us even having something that we just include in the Game Pass subscription that gave you an ability to stream xCloud games to your television and buying a controller.
It's like we predicted the future.
Like, we hadn't talked about anything like that before that. Uh, 2 weeks after we talk about it, though, Microsoft is like, you know what? We could do that. Sure. Um,
And they still haven't friended me on Twitter.
no, that's sad.
I blame Phil.
So uh, he's talking about not even having a lower priced hardware, but something that they just give you if you have Game Pass, if you subscribe to Game Pass Ultimate. Like, you would walk into a store, you'd buy a month of Game Pass Ultimate, and it comes bundled with a streaming stick.
I
No
wouldn't say
extra
like a
cost.
month. I'd say it'd be
Like 3 months.
not even 3 months, like a year, and they would just include the stick. You're actually paying for the stick along with that service, just over time, like with what they do with the Xbox as well,
Yeah.
where you can
So
pay for the Xbox over the course of like 2 years. But I mean, you're really just paying a subscription thing is what you're doing.
yeah, I think when we talked about it, we speculated them doing something like a $50 or a $60 streaming stick, and
120
then
with a controller.
bundling that for 100 or 120 with a controller, which seemed like an incredibly, decent price. A lot of streaming sticks you can get for 20 or $30. I think you can get a Roku for 25 or 30. The Fire Sticks, you can get them for around the same price. They have, of course, higher priced ones that have some slightly better specs, but for like 30 bucks, 50 bucks, if you want to be able to play games and you have the type of internet that can handle streaming Xbox games, it seems like a no-brainer to me.
It really does.
So, and then now we see that Microsoft is actually thinking about that. I would imagine very early, probably into first quarter next year, Microsoft has something like this out in the market. Um, because one of the things that it seems very clear, at least to me, is that they are pushing xCloud, Game Pass Ultimate over everything else right now. They want people in the Microsoft ecosystem, and they just don't care how you're doing it.
It's a good method, or that's a good thing to want.
So, and then one of the other things that I think we've talked about since then is that if they put these streaming sticks out there and you just see, I think, first of all, you'll see Game Pass Ultimate subscriptions skyrocket at that point. Because people like my parents who don't play a lot of games, but my dad really likes to play golf games. If he sees something like that he can just plug into his TV, all he needs is a controller. He doesn't have to worry about a box, and he could get whatever. I think 2K does the PGA Tour games now. If that shows up on xCloud in some form, he'd pick up that streaming stick in a heartbeat. But then that gets people into the ecosystem. They can, even if right now all they're doing is streaming stuff, if they see, okay, I'm playing something like, say I'm playing, Halo 5 right now.
Okay.
And I'm playing it through my streaming stick on xCloud, but I see that it is on sale on the Microsoft store for like $10 right now. And I'm like, you know what? This game, I've seen stuff drop off of streaming services before. This game could do that. I want to have this game so that I can play it whenever I want. They lock it in on their account for $10 right now. They don't have a console at the moment, but 6 months to a year down the road, they're like, you know what? I'm at that point now where I can buy a console. They buy the console, they plug it into their TV. Halo 5 is sitting right there, available for them to download and play. They can do that and start up exactly where they had left off on.
And we don't mean this through Game Pass. We mean like they own a license to be able to play that game specifically.
Yeah, exactly. So
yeah, so if that becomes a thing, oh my gosh.
like this, the streaming option here that Microsoft has, with the ability to buy any of the games that people want to own outright. You can do that with Stadia, stuff like that. People are talking about, that. This gives Microsoft the ability to get the people into the Microsoft ecosystem, and then they're buying games. They have that subscription. And then a few months later, they decide to buy a console. Microsoft has made, a $500 sale that they probably wouldn't have 6 months earlier because that person wasn't playing Halo 5 or whatever they're playing. So this is a super low-cost way to get people into buying games and thinking about Microsoft and video games, and then upgrading their experience later down the road.
Speaking of Halo 5, did you get a free copy from Monster Energy earlier in the week?
I did not, actually. I was not able to lock my copy in.
Man, that site was a garbage fire of not working.
Yeah, every time I tried, the site was down, so I couldn't do it.
It took me about 10 minutes from the second that it went live or when it was getting popular and the word reached me, and to get it to work and got all that done. 10 to 15 minutes, somewhere in there.
So I was not able to get that. I was a little sad that I couldn't get that, but I'm not that worried about it. I can currently
it's
play
Halo 5. Who cares?
I've played Halo 5 already, so it would be nice to have a copy because I played it through Game Pass. I don't actually own Halo 5 at the moment.
Yeah, I don't see you going back to it anytime soon.
Probably not.
If ever.
Probably not.
Just saying.
So, I mean, I may. You never know. But we'll see. We've talked a little bit about Stadia. Stadia was in the news this week.
Oh, yeah, it was.
Not only did they had their 3-day good stuff presentation where they showed off a bunch of games that are coming to Stadia. That was a little bit of a downer. We're not going to talk about that right now. They were in the news for other reasons, though, because one of the higher-ups at one of their studios just talked about streaming content, like game streamers. And the internet roasted him for his for his take. And I have the tweets right here. His name's Alex
Yes.
Hutchinson. He works for their Montreal studio. Is that right?
Sounds right. I'm trying to find it right now. It's like I saw a few of them
Um,
online, and they were great. But then it was actually a Inside Gaming Daily video that covered most of the tweets that I saw.
yeah, he
Those are
works
so
for
brilliant.
he's the creative director at SG&E Montreal Studio, which is Sony Games and not Sony, Stadia Games and Entertainment's Montreal studio. Um, and he tweeted out this week, streamers worried about getting their content pulled because they used music they didn't pay for should be more worried about the fact that they're streaming games they didn't pay for as well. It's all gone as soon as publishers decide to enforce it. A follow-up tweet said, the real truth is that streamers should be paying the developers and publishers of the games they stream. They should be buying a license like any real business and paying for the content they use.
And that's how you ask for trouble.
Yeah, the internet ratioed the heck out of him. um, so
I think it was Doctor Disrespect had got in there pretty quick and he just had the simplest tweet ever for this too. What was the guy's title again?
he's the creative director at SG&E Montreal.
So yeah, that's all it said was creative director, Stadia, Google Montreal, or
Well,
something like that.
I think Alex Hutchinson actually changed his bio that day. At the beginning of the day, it said creative director at Stadia, and then after this tweet, he had changed it to creative director SG&E Montreal to
Oh right,
try to distance himself from
because
Stadia, even though he
because
does.
of another tweet that showed up later from someone else.
So, yeah, I mean,
But it was like, ladies and gentlemen, this guy. That's all his Doctor Disrespect's tweet was on there, and I love that. It's just simple and to the point. It's like, oh, that makes sense. Never mind. Who cares about this guy?
and see, this is the type of topic that people have been talking about for a long time, and studios right now have already basically come to the conclusion that having people stream their games is only a positive for them. There's a reason, games like Among Us, we would not be talking about Among Us if it wasn't for the fact that it blew up through game streaming the
Yeah,
last
that
few.
game basically sat around practically dead for 2 years on release on iOS and mobile devices.
Yeah. There's a reason that Fortnite blew up. There's a reason that Minecraft blew up, and it's because people are playing that game. They're showing off the stuff that you can do in those games, and people are then watching those videos and going out and buying copies of those games. Developers, especially small developers, are more than happy, and I've saw reactions from a number of small developers. They're like, I would give away every single copy of the game I could to streamers if I know that this game that is going to get my game attention and get people to buy my game. I am more than happy to give away 100 copies of the game if that means that I sell 1,000 copies of it afterwards.
Exactly. It's a real good way for doing PR, if anything. So
So,
uh,
he went on the whole thing about you shouldn't be able to monetize another person's work. And that has been fought in court, and it's been proven that you can do exactly what streamers are doing because they're using it in a fair use way, changing up the content of the thing with their commentary, with the things that they do, because their experience in the game is 100% different from just about everybody else's experience in the game because of the interactive nature of games.
yeah, it's
And
like how many people are going to watch this game? It's like, okay, these eyes weren't on this game before, so
mhm.
oh man.
Yeah, he's right in that if publishers decided to enforce no streaming and pulled every stream of the game ever, every video of the game ever, they would be 100% technically, legally in the right to do so. But at the same time, it's also been fought in court that game streamers have the right to do what they're doing. And I have not heard any publisher that's like, you know what, I don't want people streaming this. I don't.
Nintendo. it,
Well, okay, yeah,
it
Nintendo.
took
Well,
it did take quite a while for them to come around.
they tried and they failed.
Yes.
So, yeah. So Stadia did. I don't think Stadia was very happy with.
No. I don't think that one got. Oh wait, yeah, you're. Sorry,
I
I should let you
yeah.
finish speaking before I
I don't
interrupt.
think Stadia was very happy with Mr. Hutchinson and his take this week.
Yeah,
Uh,
just, who was it? Was the guy's name Alex that said there was one of the people that works for Google and was like, he does not he well they pointed out that this guy works for the Montreal area
yeah.
and it's like does not represent Stadia or Google or YouTube's point of view on this. And I'm
Well,
like,
and the the other thing that Mr. Hutchinson forgets is a few months ago, Stadia Google was sending out uh, Stadia things, controllers and Chromecasts to streamers to get people talking about Stadia. So,
oh, I just remembered Giant Bomb commented to the guy uh, about Stadia. He's like he comments back. Like Stadia had oh what was it? Oh gosh, it was a really good tweet. I hate that I can't remember. It was just a rebuttal back on there. It was just
yeah.
so great. I gotta find this now. Hold on a second.
Oh, um, yeah, like there's a lot of reasons to be down on Stadia. My opinion on Stadia has shifted a little bit from my initial thoughts because Stadia works for me, and like I'm not going to go out and buy a game on Stadia right now, but it's given me the ability to look at like these demos and try out some stuff that I wouldn't have gotten the chance to try out before. I do own one game on Stadia, but I didn't pay for it. I got some free credit when I signed up with Stadia, and I bought a game. Um, like I am not opposed to Stadia at this point. Game streaming is going to happen. It's beneficial for a lot of people, whether the internet wants to believe it is or not. There's a lot of people who can't afford consoles or PCs, but do have good internet and can pay a small, either a small subscription fee or games are going on sale on Stadia as well. So you can get games at less than full price even on Stadia, and it gives people the ability to play those games that they wouldn't be able to otherwise.
Okay, I'm not finding the tweet, but it was basically Giant Bomb just made an additional comment to how Stadia is Stadia.
Yeah.
And then that what's his name just commented back saying something about uh, Stadia having more numbers than Giant Bomb or something, and then just it's like okay that's pretty harsh, and the comment back was at least Giant Bomb can be works on Chromecast. It's just all right that they recovered. It's great.
So yeah. I thought that was one of those foot and mouth moments that the internet had a ball with this week. Um, so
I gotta find what who said it. I know
it
it was
was
Giant.
Alex Navarro that had originally replied to the guy. I remember that. I don't remember the exact tweet, but I know that's who did um, respond to him initially. So while you're looking that up, we got one more streaming story to do, and that is Microsoft updated, or not Microsoft, but updates went out on Game Pass for 10 new games to get touch controls on Game Pass Ultimate on mobile. So Minecraft Dungeons was the first to officially to get touch controls so that you could play without having to have a controller plugged into connected to your phone.
Mm-hmm.
The other 10 games now that are joining that are Dead Cells, Guacamelee 2, Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice, which was the first game to have them, but that was in beta. They lost them when Ultimate went out of beta, but now the touch controls are back for Hellblade. Hotshot Racing, Killer Instinct, New Super Lucky's Tale, Slay the Spire, Streets of Rage 4, Tell Me Why, and Undermine. So those 11 games can now be played on your mobile phone without having to have a controller.
I found the tweet.
Okay.
Speaking of things people don't want to pay for, how's Stadia going?
Yeah, I do remember seeing that tweet.
And then he just replies back, better than Giant Bob, from what I can tell. And then you get the fun little.
Yeah,
At
you
least
get
Giant Bomb works on Chromecast.
then that's when it just devolves into fanboys on both sides, arguing back and forth. So yeah, those 11 games now have touch control on Game Pass Ultimate if you're streaming those games through the cloud on your phone.
Nice.
And the cool thing about them is each of them are different. So they're not just overlaying a controller over top of it like a lot of mobile games do or mobile services do. They're really trying to get the developers to think about touch controls and optimize them for their specific experience. So like Hotshot Racing will have a gas pedal button and like a steering wheel looking thing, whereas something like Streets of Rage will have a D-pad on the left side and a couple of buttons that have attack icons and jump icons and things like that. So every game can be modified with the touch controls to only give you the buttons that you need to have to play the game. So you don't have a lot of just wasted space or virtual controller buttons taking up space that you could be using to just look at the game on the screen.
Okay.
So I would imagine this list will just continue to grow and grow. I know the one game that I'm really interested in seeing how they do touch controls. They've talked about this. They've shown a couple of screenshots of what it could look like. But Gears 5 is one of the ones that they've really been trying to.
That's going to be so weird.
It's going to be really weird. I'm really curious to see how they do it. Because a first person, or not a first person, but a shooter like that requires a lot of different buttons and a lot of different fingers pushing buttons at the same time. I'm really curious to see how that's going to work. So
yeah, I'm really like one of the things I'm already wondering is like how's the weapon swapping going to work?
Yeah, I don't have any idea.
Going into cover, getting out of cover. Jeez, I can just see it being a mess trying to do things with that.
Yeah. So that's not on the list yet. That could be a ways away. It may never get touch controls. We don't know. But this list will just continue to grow and grow as they try to get more developers to optimize their games to have touch controls for people that play the games on their mobile devices. So Microsoft isn't the only company that has controls in the news this week, because Nintendo announced that they are reducing the price of the single Joy-Cons.
Yeah.
So
as a single Joy-Con.
Yes, you can get a left Joy-Con or a right Joy-Con now for $40. They used to be $50. They're permanently dropping the price $10 on the individual Joy-Cons.
Do you imagine if they just made one cost like $10 more than the other?
You can get a left one for $50 and a right one for $40.
I think it would be the right one would cost more because it has the reader. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's got the IR sensor and all that. The right Joy-Con does have more tech in it. So, but yeah, the pair of controllers is and still remains $80. So previously you were getting a bit of a discount if you bought two controllers together rather than a single Joy-Con. But now it doesn't matter. Single Joy-Con's $40. Pairs of them are $80. That is too expensive. Joy-Cons are ridiculously expensive.
They are, but at least you're able to buy just a single replacement now.
That's true. Because Joy-Con drift is a thing, still is a thing. It hasn't gone away. It's not going to go away. It's going to be a thing, I think, for the life of the Switch.
Yeah, I'm wanting to see how that lawsuit's turning out, but I think last I heard, like Nintendo was like, "Who's it hurting?" It's like they're not physically damaged by this.
It's hurting everybody
Yeah.
because they can't play games because the controller just spins or does, is doing random inputs. So,
Well, actually, it was their lawyers trying to. Anyway.
yeah. So, and then lastly, this week, Ubisoft is making a change to the Uplay service. Now, you've previously had two separate apps that you would do things in: Uplay or Ubisoft Club and Uplay, and those are all being merged into one thing now called Ubisoft Connect. What they're doing is they're trying to just basically bring everything under one umbrella now, but it also allows them to do things like crossplay and cross progression more seamlessly. So one of the things they talked about is that games going forward would have both crossplay and cross progression, regardless of what platform you're playing on. So if you're playing a game on the PC and you decide to start playing it on the PS4 or the Xbox One or Stadia or Switch, whatever, your progress will carry over to whatever platform you're playing on.
Okay.
So you won't have to have separate save files for all your games on all your different systems. Your save file will carry over to whatever platform you're playing on.
It's awesome.
That also allows them to change up rewards. There's a lot of stuff that they talked about. They made a bunch of previous rewards that were previously available through Ubisoft Club free for everybody. So in the tweet that they had made this announcement, they said 1,000+ club rewards are now free for everybody. So you'll go and you'll be able to get those automatically. It's things like different costumes in game, soundtrack samples, things of that nature.
I'm guessing this would be the different weapon skins from like Zombie U on Wii. No, wait, Wii U.
Mm-hmm.
And then going and just getting on Zombie on PS4 or whatever, and those would now carry over instead of having to.
Yeah.
Nice.
Instead of having to earn those separately in each game, they'll now just be available for everything.
Or having to spend more points on them in a different game. Ugh.
Exactly. So,
that means my Rayman Legends stuff will carry over. Yes.
I have bought some rewards multiple times because I had like Assassin's Creed 3 on the Wii U, and then I picked it up on something else, and I was like, I want this skin over here as well, so I had to buy it again.
Yeah, I think it was the Ezio's Assassin's Creed 2 outfit, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Probably one of the better outfits in that game.
I have seen this already in a small respect, because at the end of the Immortals demo, if you play through that whole thing, and the demo takes like 30 or 40 minutes, it's not a very long demo, you can link your Ubisoft account to Stadia, and it gives you a set of armor that is unique to people who've played the Stadia demo. So now, once I get that, if I decide to play that on PC or Switch or wherever, that set of armor will come with me wherever I decide to play it.
That's awesome.
So,
be like getting on Phantasy Star Online too on PS4 after getting like your Xbox exclusive stuff.
Yeah. So, we're going to see. I think that's the type of thing we're going to see more and more. Microsoft does a lot of that with the Play Anywhere titles that they have. Not everything, but a lot of their titles now are Play Anywhere, where if you're playing it on the Xbox or the PC, it doesn't matter. It syncs your data, and your save files swap between whatever platforms you happen to be playing on.
Cool.
So, but that will be it for the show this week, Ethan. So, thank you very much for being here.
See y'all next week, everyone.
Time for Resident Evil. If you want to reach out to us, we have new ways to do so. You can email us at procedurallygeneratedent@gmail.com. If you like what we do, you can support us on Patreon by going to patreon.com/PGENT. Patreon supporters get the video version of the podcast a day early. Follow us on Twitter at twitter.com/ProGenInt. Check out our YouTube channel, and we still have that famous Facebook group where you can interact with us on a daily basis as well.